Hello, welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for the Hypo-Chondri Cat, and with me today, hey, come over here, Matt Hunter.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I had to do that, and I know it's an awful accent I did, but hey, I tried. I'll probably get it right one of these days. But just a few bits of info to get us underway. So as mentioned, this is the Hypo-Chondri Cat, released on the 15th of April 1950. It had a blue ribbon reissue sometime in the late 50s. It's the 586th in the series, and it's directed by Chuck Jones. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Gold Collection Volume 1 DVD set, but a better version with the opening restored is on the Looney Tunes Mouse Chronicles Blu-ray and DVD set, and I'll have links below to both those sets.
Look at him now! He's turning purple! Hey, Hubie, let me pick the next color. Hey, Hubie! Okay. Let's see now. If he's turning, he's turning plaid!
In case you haven't seen this cartoon, as I can't show it here due to copyright, Hubie and Bertie enter a house for the night where they encounter Claude Cat, who happens to be a very neurotic cat who is afraid of germs. So Hubie and Bertie do what they do best. They mess with his mind.
Biceps. Biceps. Scalpel. Scalpel.
Two bits of trivia to get underway here. Claude Cat for this short has been redesigned yet again, and this design would actually end up being reused in, I believe, what is it, one more short or two?
Yeah, Cheese Chasers is the other one he uses this design.
It's a nice design. I quite like this one. I think it's a very good one he should have probably stayed with, but that's just personal opinion. I like all these cats, It's just one of those things.
It's kind of a hybrid of what came before, that it's not too far off from the kind of prototype Claude, who was a black cat, who had kind of this kind of streamlined design. And then, of course, in Mouse Wreckers, he was made kind of scruffy, but that's where they got the red hair for him. That was kind of his signature. And then in this one, they just kind of split the difference, I guess. And then a couple cartoons later, he's back to being the same one as Mouse Wreckers. So I don't know why they did that, but I like it. It's
exactly. It's a great design. And also, one interesting thing is that on those particular DVD sets that I mentioned, again, buy, cough, cough, right? But on those sets, there are actually storyboards, or at least partial storyboards, where it was as a bonus feature. And there is actually an extra scene at the very end. So after we see Claude floating in cat heaven, where the cartoon would typically end, spoiler alert, I apologize, but there would be a scene after that, which sort of bookends the scene where Hubie and Bertie were actually in front of the fireplace. But I'm glad Chuck Jones actually cut that out, because if we're being honest, the point was already made about what they did to this cat. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you agree with that?
I do, and I think leaving it kind of open-ended at the ending is a better ending than having him, sitting by the fireplace. So it's just such a surreal and dark cartoon when you look at it. What the mice do to Claude, as you were pointing out, there's almost no slapstick to it. It's not really a particularly funny cartoon. It's kind of a psychological drama, and the humor comes from just how absurd and how kind of, man, that's messed up.
Oh yeah.
You're kind of laughing, but in a dark way. This is not a slapstick Daffy Duck cartoon.
Exactly.
This is a little different.
Exactly, and you got these nice little touches where, the Hubie and Bertie are bringing out all those tools that Claude's, of course, getting all terrified of what's going to happen to him, which is cut beautifully, and
Right.
All those angles are fantastic, and the poses in that scene, and of course the line.
How's that no nice in Ward C, Doctor?
Not bad. I got a date with her after the operation.
Yeah. I never you ever operated on a cat? No, but I'll do anything once.
Exactly. It's so darn dark, and it's fantastic. And, I'm going to point out something with Claude, though, and I love this idea of having a cat who is hypochondriac, which I'll get you to explain the meaning in just a sec, but it's a nice twist on the types of cats you would usually see in the cartoons, like, Sylvester or Tom from Tom and Jerry and that sort of thing. So it's something different. It's quite good.
Yeah. Well, Sylvester, frankly, isn't dumb enough to fall for some of this stuff. So, and he also wasn't Chuck Jones's character. Jones directed him a couple of times, but this was not a vehicle for Sylvester. This is definitely Claude is the perfect fall guy for Hubie and Bertie. You'd asked me to explain what's a hypochondriac. Well, the definition is a person who's abnormally obsessed with their health. That is, they're always afraid of getting sick. They're always taking vitamins and taking pills and just trying to watch out and be afraid of germs. And you kind of see that in a lot of people now that the pandemic
Yeah.
happened. A lot of people that are just very, very cautious about getting sick, about getting COVID, about getting anything. They wear a mask everywhere they go, even though they don't have to, and they're afraid, and that's very much what a hypochondriac is, and that's what you have Claude doing, and what the pun in the title is, Hypo-Chondri Cat.
It's a great title.
Probably the very clever Michael Maltese, who wrote this cartoon, was probably behind that. He was a master at those kinds of puns.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. I love also some of the music cues. I mean, Carl Starling once again. The interesting thing about me watching all the Looney Tunes in a row, a lot of the music cues just come naturally now. You hear September in the Rain in the opening. You hear Home Sweet Home when the mice are inside.
Not bad, eh, Point?
Yeah, sure.
But the most interesting cue for me, though, is Aloha Oi, if I said it correct. It sounded like an Aussie Oi, but anyway.
Yeah. At the end.
Go to heaven, and I'm thinking, it's an odd choice, but it works so well here.
So long, Claude. Yeah. Happy landings.
Farewell, you poor earthly creatures.
I think that the translation from Hawaiian is farewell. So that's why you hear it, and Carl Stalling use it a lot when somebody's taking off on a boat, no matter where the boat's going, kind of like no matter where a train's going, it usually plays California, Here We Come. That was Carl Stalling's thing for somebody going off on a voyage or leaving, a farewell. You hear it in one of the Yosemite Sam cartoons, I think, where he's going off on his boat, and you hear it in any number of cartoons. You hear Aloha Oi. It's a farewell tune, and that's why he does that, sending the cat off to cat heaven, which you pointed out. How did they take the time to make a sign pointing to cat heaven?
Exactly. They clearly know the viewers had to know what was going on, so we thank Hubie and Bertie for that extra touch there. Also, the X-ray gag, I mean, that's not supposed to work that way, but you just go with it. I thought it was hilarious.
Where do mice in a house that's not their own house acquire doctor's equipment in the first place? You don't question it. It works, but it's cartoon logic all the way.
Exactly. Just like Chuck Jones uses the brand he now is going to use in the Roadrunner cartoons with the Acme flower you can see on the back of the Claude Cat's robe.
Right, yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, that make the celestial robe out of a flour sack.
Well, I guess maybe some people might do that for, school pageants, that sort of stuff for their kids, if
I was going to say Halloween or Christmas pageant or something like that. I'm sure that was probably done more than once.
Exactly.
Hey, you should use a flour sack or pillowcase or something.
Yeah, I mean...
Put a sheet over somebody and they're a ghost.
I was always a sheep in pageants, so I never had the feeling of being an angel in one of these things. But anyway,
I was a shepherd in one. Actually,
so you outranked me. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
But of course, we can't finish this review without talking about that wonderful abstract scene that comes around where Claude is, of course, so overwhelmed with emotion, so terrified. We see a scene akin to Dumbo's Pink Elephant scene, but also two other earlier Chuck Jones works.
Mm-hmm. There's a political cartoon he did in support of Franklin Roosevelt, FDR, that was called Hellbent for Election, that he did in collaboration with UPA. And that has a lot of that similar surreal imagery to it. And he did another cartoon toward the end of World War II that was actually supposed to be based on FDR's dog, Fala. But it ended up being kind of a generic dog because that dog died or something during the making of that film. But it's called Fresh Airedale. And the dog is jealous of this other dog that makes the news, who's a famous dog, and it's number one dog. And he has this nightmare where all the images from the newspaper come to life and attack him. Very, very similar to this. It's just really trippy, really surreal.
It's fantastic, and it's also a sign of things to come for Chuck because not long after this, he's going to start getting more surreal in terms of the backgrounds and some things like Duck Dodgers and
Mhm.
that sort of thing in the backgrounds. Maybe not quite as surreal as this,
Yeah.
but then again, you got your cartoons like High Notes, and then you got the Dot on the Line. He'll do later on, which is one of my favorite cartoons of all
Mhm.
time. So
Or the Ralph Phillips
yes,
cartoons, when you get to those where he's at the blackboard and all of a sudden the math problem comes to life and attacks him. Very similar and very, very
yeah,
interesting.
indeed.
Give this a watch and just for the expressions on the characters in this, because this is Chuck Jones and also some of his best animators just going crazy with it. The eyes in particular, you see the spirals and the freaky shape shifts and stuff that the eyes do. It's just really fantastic
Oh,
animation.
exactly. Even just the voice work, of course, by Mel Blanc. He's and of course Stan Freberg in this is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have to give this one a 9 out of 10 because of how dark it is. I forgot how much I really enjoyed this cartoon. It's a different kind of cartoon, really, than usual slapstick. But hey, it works so well. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. I would say 9, absolutely. And it's one of those that, if it came on a Saturday morning, like after a Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck cartoon, it got your full attention because you're like, what is this? So,
Exactly.
yeah, great cartoon.
Indeed.
One of Chuck Jones'
Yeah,
best.
indeed, and yeah, and also Joe Beck does a commentary on those sets mentioned as well. Once again, cough by cough. My link below, whatever. But he mentioned that this is his favorite of the Hubie Birdies, and he actually mentions that Hubie Birdie just don't get talked enough, and I have to say I agree because I
Yeah,
keep forgetting about Hubie and Birdie, and every time I see one, I'm reminded just how funny and wonderful these cartoons truly are.
yeah.
I totally agree.
And there's another commentary on the Mouse Chronicles Blu-ray that all of these are collected on, and they mention that Bertie in particular was a partial inspiration for Pinky and the Brain. You can totally see that here. You've got the smart mouse and the goofy kind of idiot mouse. It was very much an influence.
Indeed, indeed. These cartoons are still influencing creators, yeah, much later on, and for good reason. This is just so good. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.
So long, Claude. Yeah, yeah. Happy landings.
Farewell, you poor earthly creatures.